Meouch, I was going to ask you after our conversation about Stephen King the other day that was a little bit contentious. I did want to ask, like, what's your favorite Stephen King book?
Favorite Stephen King book? Oh, man, you're making me pick a favorite kid, I think.
I mean, that's an easy one.
You don't
for
have
me.
to do just one.
I mean,
I can pick a favorite kid, no problem.
We all know it's Coco.
Yeah. I don't know. The Stand is really, really good. I really like that one. Dark Tower, all those books are fucking great. Salem's Lot is really, really good. Really like that one.
What was the contentious
This is good to hear.
conversation?
Oh, we were all drinking scotch on Discord while we were playing Animal Crossing, and Meouch brought up Dr. Sleep asking if I had seen it, and I did see it, and I really hated it. And then we also talked about HBO's Outsider, which I also hated.
Wait, Meouch, did you like Dr. Sleep?
I loved it. I thought it was wonderful.
There's no joy left in my body, so I take it with a grain of salt.
Liz, if the Stephen King adaptation isn't complete garbage, then I consider that a win pretty much every time.
Okay, from your take, what's the best adaptation and what's the worst?
The best adaptation? Ooh. I don't know. Probably the consensus would be like The Green Mile, probably.
Really? Not not Shawshank?
That's interesting.
Yeah, or Shawshank. Yeah, one of those two. That's what and those are the two that people don't even realize. Like Stephen King, they're like, oh yeah, this is just a horror guy, but he also wrote.
This is news to me.
Yeah.
I the other day I was playing Animal Crossing, and just as self-care, like it was raining, I popped in my Misery on VHS. Gotta say,
oh, Misery.
That's a really good one.
Oh man, yeah.
I feel like that might be my favorite adaptation. I'm so biased because I fucking love Misery the book, and I love the movie so much. Kathy Bates, 1991 Academy Award winner for Best Actress for that movie. She deserves it.
Oh,
she deserves the world.
Slays it.
And like I was rereading A Good Bit of Misery the other day and was just like, man, this is like just a perfect adaptation of a book that is wonderful on its own, but it's not like The Shining, where The Shining the movie and The Shining the book are each wonderful in their own right, but they're very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever told you guys, either of you, the story about how I read The Shining for the first time?
No.
So I was in college, and there was this girl that I really liked, and we were like friends, and I didn't know how to say anything, and I was obsessed with the movie. I'd never read the book. I watched the movie a lot in high school, and like one of my all-time favorite movies still is. And so I grew up in North Jersey, and this girl was over the summer working at like some kind of firm in New York, and I would go in and hang out with her like as friends. And at one point I got so like overwhelmed by like I have to tell her how I feel that I was hanging out with her, and she like, I don't know, we were at her apartment, and then she like went shopping or something, left the apartment for a little bit, and I stayed there. Why? I don't even remember why. But basically I wrote out this long letter to be like, here's how I feel about you, left it on her table, and went home. And then was in a massive existential state of panic for, as long as it was going to take her to get back to me. And I was like, now's the time to read The Shining. And
as if it isn't already stressful enough.
Yes. And after, like, she didn't get in touch with me for days. This went on for at least 2, I think maybe 3 days. And I was like losing my mind. And then when she finally got back to me about it, she was like, yeah, I don't want to date you. I just want to be friends. And I lost my mind, not in a rageful way, but like in a despair kind of way.
In a college rejected by a girl way.
And then a year later we were dating.
Oh, so it worked out.
Hey.
And you got to read a fun book in the process.
And I got to read a fun book, which made everything worse.
It's like, oh, you'll hear about some intergenerational trauma?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, Yeah, sweet.
But yeah,
fuck.
if you have seen The Shining and like The Shining, but you haven't read the book, read the book. It's very good. I'm sure you have time on your hands. Just give it a read.
Did you
It's
see
fantastic.
they made like a more recent non-Kubrick film version of it, right?
The mini series, right?
Was that what it was? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think
Well, there was that, and then the one from this year was Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel.
Right, but I'm talking about not the sequel, just the original book. Wasn't there? Isn't there one where they did something else and King was like, "This is the real version, not that Kubrick bullshit."
Yeah, that's like the '90s miniseries.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, which I also need to watch. But yeah, hey everybody, welcome to Late Night.
solid.
Leighton, do you want to introduce yourself? We as per who suggested this? Carboni, right? That we actually have to introduce ourselves
Yes.
at the top, which I think is a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what all podcasts do instead of just starting to talk and being like, "You guys figure it out." Hi, I'm Leighton Gray from Late Night.
I'm Brian Wecht, also from Leighton Night, which is the thing you're listening to, and our special guest today is introduce yourself.
Oh, dude. Commander Meouch from Twerp. And also from Late Night.
Whoa!
Hey,
Yeah.
if you haven't been able to make it to the two Late Night live shows, Meouch has been our wonderful bassist.
Yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
band leader of the fucking world's smallest band.
It's you and a very insultingly named pedal, which is
Oh, the Beat Buddy.
the Beat
That's right.
Buddy.
That's right. He's
It's like something you'd
well-
give to a 3-year-old bassist. He's your little Beat Buddy.
He's a little Beat Buddy.
Yeah, Brian, don't downplay your contributions of destroying a children's drum set.
It was my daughter's drum set. Thank you very much. And yep, I beat the shit out of it live on stage and then had to throw it away. And
For bits. Also, there's a video of that on our YouTube channel.
Yes, there is.
Late Night. If you want to check that out. So we're off to a great start talking about our boy Stevie King.
That's right.
this is our 8th episode, and I believe probably the 5th in which we've discussed Stephen King.
Yeah. I appreciate that everyone's been like, thank you for the horror recommendations, because this entire time I've been like, am I talking about horror movies too much? Which I guess is me every day of my life. But glad y'all have been enjoying that, because it ain't gonna stop. So do we just want to jump right into this ding dang episode?
Yeah, why the hell not? We've never had an intro this short before, but I'm cool with that. Let's just do it, right? All right. So, yeah, let's go for this. The first thing I want to discuss is a picture that was sent to us from Lee, and they made an airbrushed NSP van. We'll post the picture of this on our socials. I'll probably post it on NSP socials too because it's so fucking great.
There's no way that's real, right? That can't be real.
That has to be an illustration, right?
They explicitly said that it's a mock-up.
Okay.
But it's a fucking sick
It's
mock-up.
fucking metal as hell, dude.
So what it is it's me and Dan in our NSP costumes riding a purple dragon. This is all airbrushed on the side of a van. That's breathing is that fire and smoke or lava or something? It's some kind of fire-breathing dragon. And
I like the idea that it's lava, because then the implication would be that instead of breathing fire, the dragon is vomiting lava.
Oh wait, man, that's a sexual mist that's getting fucking sprayed out there. That's what that is.
that's a good point.
Just
Yeah.
sick, tasty jams.
Actually, just to go back 1 second, I love the idea that any fire-breathing dragon is actually barfing the whole time, rather than just breathing fire. That it's this process of being
It's like they
physically
really
ill.
just need help.
That's right. They're very sick, and they're just barfing fire.
This dragon requires treatment. But yeah, so the context for this was last episode, or one of the other episodes. What the hell was the context for this? Every time we say something on this show, it immediately falls out of the back of my head.
Yeah, I don't know when or why we said it, but I was talking about when NSP and, of course, Twerp tour together. We're on a bus. And one thing that we had discussed at some point is what they call wrapping the bus, where you put, the band name and stuff on it. But then we said, that's probably not a great move because we don't want people, like, banging on the bus all the time while we're trying to sleep. Not that necessarily would happen. I'm not trying to say there'd be a Beatles style mob outside the bus all the time. But a certain degree of anonymity is nice. Also,
Yeah.
like
Already driving a giant, massive, fucking 50-foot vehicle. Need to draw more attention to it if at all possible.
That's right. If you need to guess where the musicians live, like it's probably the giant bus parked outside the venue. Like that's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of detective work to really reach that conclusion.
Yeah, it's the small apartment complex on wheels next to the club.
But we cram like 10 to 12 people on this bus because it's me and Dan and then everyone in Twerp and the various people that merch and sound and tour manager and everything like that come with us. So we're in this rolling like small hotel, and we discussed wrapping it, but then said that wouldn't be a good idea. And Lee made this very lovely, very anonymized, totally not the Ninja Sex Party tour van, which is really, really great.
That seems like it looks like the kind of van, like if you needed to find drugs somewhere in a strange city, you could probably knock on the sliding door and pick up and score if you needed to.
Pick up some drugs.
You rove around the city searching out other airbrushed vans. It's like, oh, that one has a wizard on it. They have the good
They
shit.
got the good shit, yeah.
Honestly, it looks more like the kind of thing where you could buy bootleg Game Boy cartridges off of. But
Yes, something
Totally.
Yeah, something a little cooler. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Lee. Really appreciate you sending that us. It was sending that to us. It was a delight to receive that.
I super
email.
love
So thank you very much.
All right.
So
go for it.
Yeah, so on Twitter, we asked people to send us emails asking questions for the three of us about creative process stuff. So I'm pretty excited to talk about this stuff with y'all because you're two very talented musicians. And I write stuff and do art and other stuff. So three of us combined, I'm sure we can give moderately good advice on this.
Also, Leighton, you are very talented yourself, so please do not sell yourself short.
I guess actually, you know what? That's the first piece of advice, guys. Don't downplay your own accomplishments. Don't do what I just did. You're skilled, and you got to own it.
And take compliments, right? If someone says, "Hey, I really like your stuff," say, "Thank you."
Don't use it as an opportunity to put yourself down.
That's right.
Just learn from my mistakes. So let's just jump into it and do some questions. Brian, would you like to read the first one? You just take your pick.
Yeah. All right. So our first question is, I don't know who this is from, but that's okay. It says this. I've started painting and drawing more recently because I missed it and wanted to do something creative again. But rather than creating my own unique thing, I feel like I rely so heavily on the inspiration of another person's work. I'll take heavy inspiration from different pieces I like and mash it together to make my own thing, but it doesn't feel like mine. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, how do you use something as an inspiration without feeling like you're stealing it? And how much of it is purely original? And that's the question.
Person who sent this email, I apologize that I forgot to put your name in the thing. Tweet us and I'll tweet
sorry
an
about that.
apology at you. You're cool. Sorry.
I think this is a really great question because, so just to say this out loud, no art is created in a vacuum, really, right? We all have inspirations from our lives, and sometimes you have something that's like literally in front of you, inspiring you, but nothing you're doing is, it just exists outside of the rest of art, right? So even if you don't know it, you're inspired by something.
There's a good saying, I don't know who said it, all the best shit is stolen, man.
Yeah, it's like something, good artists, something, and great artists steal. I love to do half of a quote.
Yeah, Jesus said it probably. All the best shit is stolen.
Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's in
the Bible somewhere, man. One of those pages. In the back, maybe.
Yeah, it's like all art forever has just been a chain of influences, and like you may know on the surface that you're taking things from like these 10 different pieces of media, but the people who are experiencing your final product don't see that back end. They only see the front end, and they might be like, oh, this reminds me of this, but I feel like pretty often I'll run ideas past other people and be like, hey, am I like taking too many bites out of like this piece of media's lunch? And they're like, no,
yeah,
not at all. So it's really easy to overthink that kind of stuff.
It totally is. And there's, yeah. So, I mentioned this in the last episode, but often if I'm just kind of sitting down to write music, I will pull up a piece of music that is maybe like the kind of genre I want to write in, listen to it for a little bit, usually, I don't know, just enough to get the vibe, and then essentially try to rewrite it, and like as if I was starting from what I just heard. And it always ends up being completely different than the thing that I just listened to. And it's just a jumping off point. And I never feel, I mean, I'm not copying it exactly. So I'm not saying I'm going to use this exact beat or these exact chords or whatever. But even if you did, the thing you're going to end up with is almost certainly going to be totally different than what you just heard. So unless you're like blatantly ripping something off, it's yours. Like just own it. I think it's more of a question of mindset than the material, if that makes any sense, right? The material is probably original enough to be just a standalone thing, and you just feel like it's not yours. But every working artist, writer, musician, whatever, any kind of creative person is starting from some point and then moving on to make something that's their own. So you just have to feel like you own it. So don't worry about ripping people off. Just go for it. And then if you hear it and you're like, oops, that's accidentally exactly the same. All right, well then don't use it.
Yeah, get like a rubber duck sanity check from somebody else of like,
Yes.
hey, without me saying anything else, check this out and tell me if it reminds you of anything or if it seems like I'm ripping it off. Because usually if you don't prompt the person and they don't say, oh, this is just like this thing, like you're probably good. But also it's when you start, like how Brian's saying, of listening to something that you like and sort of copying it, like that is such an excellent and valid way to learn stuff. I mean, so many artists, like, obviously, you should not post these things, which I think there is a large impetus on people to always be or artists to always be posting. But like tracing art that you like and learning from that, or like doing a digital painting to replicate another digital painting, is like, oh, you learn so much from that. And then you go into your own drawings and you feel that influence, but it's not because you have your own personal like creative signature. It is inherently going to be your own.
Yeah, and remember, you can always dismiss anything as homage. So, like, if something is too close, yeah, you're just paying respects to this person that did it.
Listen, baby,
originally.
it's all gravy until the lawyers get involved. Basically, you're good up until that point.
Isn't there something crazy with music? It's Meouch, you might know this better than I do, but it's something like for actual copyright infringement, it's lyrics and melody, I believe, that count and not chords. Isn't it something like that? It's something that makes not very much sense, but I can't remember exactly what it is.
That sounds right. I definitely had read up on it before. The thing with copyright in music, it's such a fucking gray area that it's it's so tough. But yeah, I know lyrics are a pretty big one. Yeah, probably melody. I mean, bro, there's only 12 notes, dude. There's only so many ways to rearrange them shits, you know. So
yeah, you can't put a copyright on G sharp.
No, fuck, I tried.
I'm curious to ask y'all, because this is something that I know nothing about. But like, what is generally the take on like sampling other songs?
That's I really don't know much about it, Meouch.
Again, I used to know more when I did more sampling, but sampling it's a little bit more clear cut. I think there's something about there's a time limit, I think.
Yeah, isn't it like 10 seconds, 30 seconds? I'm guessing. I don't really remember.
Could be.
By the way,
it's hard to
just
say.
Disclaimer: do not take legal advice from this podcast. Like I cannot actually don't take any advice from this podcast, but especially legal advice. We do not know what we're talking about.
Amateur lawyers at best.
Also, sorry, my dog is like all over me right now, and she wants to squeak her toy, and she just jumped up over my chair into my lap. So I apologize for dog noises. Maybe you want to do a little puppy ASMR?
Surprise guest.
So, Meouch, when you're playing, how much of what you do, like, are you like, oh, I'm going to do a line like this bassist or this artist or whatever, versus just going? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I feel like at this point, I think when I was younger, I would have more of I'd be thinking about it a little bit more. I feel like now I just whatever comes out comes out. And you could probably trace different lines and different styles and different licks and different hooks and stuff like that. It's definitely more of a subconscious thing when I'm playing as opposed to something I've actively think about.
Yeah.
Kind of segueing from that into another question we received. Hello, my name is Chris. I wanted to ask Commander Meouch what is the funkiest bass line he's ever heard growing up?
The funkiest bass line? Oh man, probably I don't know, man. Anything by Chic. Just like Good Times by Chic, dude.
Who's the bassist in Chic? Niall didn't play bass, right? Just guitar.
No, Bernard Edwards, baby.
Gotcha.
Yeah, fucking god, man. Yeah, that's the funkiest bass line ever. Fucking fight me about it.
Who are other bassists that you really like or try to emulate creatively?
Oh man, Louis Johnson is a great one. Abe Laboriel. Oh,
Larry Graham.
Larry Graham. Yeah, I mean, I like Larry Graham. I like Louis Johnson's kind of slappy thumping technique a little bit more than his.
Mm-hmm.
But Larry,
for the uninitiated who don't know bassists by name, will you share what bands these bassists play?
Oh, yeah. Well, Larry Graham was Sly and the Family Stone. He's like the quote-unquote like inventor of slap bass. And Louis Johnson is like...
Well, and also Larry Graham is then Graham Central Station, which...
And also Graham Central Station.
Well, it's called... what's a... Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. What song is it? The Hit? What is that?
It's not Pow, is it?
No, it's the something. The riff, the hit, the lick. I can't remember.
Can the rest of this podcast just be you emulating different bass lines?
Is it the Jam?
The Jam. That's what it is. Yes,
yeah,
it's the Jam.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, funky as fuck. Louis Johnson was a huge bass player in the late 70s, 80s. Played with like everybody, but most people would... You would just call him Michael Jackson's bassist for the most part. Like, played on like Thriller and Off the Wall and shit. But played on like a million albums. He's so good.
Can you discuss your emotional relationship with Bootsy?
Oh, with Bootsy, baby? Oh man, find me he's the funky godfather, man. I love Bootsy.
So, for those of you who don't know, Bootsy Collins is a bassist who played with James Brown and then Parliament Funkadelic, Bootsy's rubber band. He's like the signature funk bassist for all the Parliament kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Honestly, fucking watch any video of Bootsy. Just look at a picture and like not just like smile and be having a great time. I don't think that man has ever been sad in his whole life.
No, and he's got such a fun, distinctive voice. The name is Bootsy, baby. You know, this like
Baba.
Just the way he talks. He's got such a fun, awesome voice, and he wears. He's the guy with stars in his eyes. He wears these star sunglasses. Or are they sunglasses or regular glasses? I can't even remember now.
They're sunglasses for sure.
Of course.
Oh, let's bring that back.
You gotta
wear your sunglasses so you can see what you're doing.
That's it, man.
That's it. Those are the real lyrics to Sunglasses at Night. I have a different question that was not emailed, but Meouch, are there any... This is such a like outside of musician question, so I apologize. But like, are there any like trends in bass playing or like tics that bother you?
Nah, people can do whatever the fuck they want. I don't care.
God, what a positive attitude! I wish more people could take that attitude about literally everything.
Yeah, just if you don't like it, don't fucking look at it, man. It's not that hard.
Yeah, no one's forcing you to play a certain way in music. Like, there's a million things out there people like or don't like, and there's a very easy thing you can do, which is turn it the fuck off, and then
get on with your life
and be like, "This is not for me." Okay, moving on.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Who gives a shit?
I'm gonna go find the thing that is for me.
Should we do a cat? Let's do a cat.
Oh, we should do a cat.
All right. So
Actually, wait. I feel like we momentarily need to discuss the movie Cats 2019.
haven't seen
fuck
it yet.
yeah! I thought that's what the whole podcast was going to be about.
We got plenty of emails that were, "Will you rate this cat?" And then it's just the poster from Cats.
Fuck yeah!
Very.
I can't remember if we discussed this, I saw Cats live now and forever at the Winter Garden Theater when I was a child. It was a big part of my childhood, the live action musical in New York.
And it made you a furry?
How to answer that? Anyway, Cats, like I loved the music growing up, and you couldn't grow up in or around New York City in the '80s without being, without having Cats shoved down your throat. And I listened to the soundtrack a lot. I saw it at least twice, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And then, probably by the time, I don't know, it was like 13 or something, I stopped, listening to it. So this is when I was like 10-ish, so I was really into it. And then I don't think I listened to it at all until I was in my 30s, and then I revisited it, and I was like, why did people like this? It genuinely baffled me. The music is... The synth sounds are amazing. I mean, it's just a little slice of the 80s on Broadway. But
it's fucking insanity, man.
It is complete
it's
insanity.
It's what being crazy must sound like all the time, I think.
Yes, and like some of the, it's Andrew Lloyd Webber, right? So I said that name wrong. I said it, Andrew Lloyd Webber. I think I said Eber. And so some of the songwriting is amazing. The guy writes really good Broadway style.
Oh,
songs.
bro, the hook in Mr. Mistopheles, so good.
Yeah, Memory is an all-timer of a song, right? That's just
Memory, fucking Skimbleshanks, bro.
Yeah, and like
I gotta say, McCavity was always my favorite.
McCavity is a great one.
Sorry, dog. Maybe I can't play right now. I'm sorry. She's mad. She's jealous that we're talking about Cats.
Visibly upset.
But it is listening to that soundtrack, or I should say cast recording start to finish, it's a window into a diseased mind, and it's so deeply upsetting on a variety of levels that it is basically baffling why people were so all about it in the 80s. I'm sure I'm sure you can read reviews and stuff, which I would imagine were uniformly positive, but it's just so much of it is so bewildering. But anyway, I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, Brian, I need you to watch I need you to watch the movie so bad.
In
light of
I want
this.
to. Rachel wants to. We almost went to see it in the theaters and then just never got around to it.
Do not show it to Audrey. It is so fucking horny. I can't believe it.
It's deeply sexual. Bro, I went 3 times to go see it. Or no, it's twice in the theater, and then on the road we watched it again, and I'll watch it again literally anytime you want. As long as we get like some bourbon and you just you don't have to do anything afterwards, so you can just sit and kind of process your life.
Yeah. Watching that movie just like pressed hard on like directly on my vagus nerve, where it's just like fight or flight activated, gotta go.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing with that movie is if you make it through, you're either going to bail within the first 5 minutes of the movie and be like, I can't, this is too much, I can't watch this.
Because it's immediately so much.
Oh my god, nothing will throw you into the deep end without a fucking life preserver faster than the first 5 minutes of Cats. It's so fucking crazy.
Like I thought I was ready, but I was not ready.
Nothing can prepare you.
I'm very excited to see it.
That's the thing is people, yeah, like I tell people all the time to go watch it because it's like it's a safe way to watch like a car accident, like a really insane like neon car accident.
Meouch, did you see the butthole cut before they fixed it?
I
don't know what that means. I don't think
I mean, like before they fixed a lot of the VFX and then
because the first release was it was like rendered the day before they put it out, right?
Oh, I knew that
everyone's floating off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that there was a cut like when it first came out because they had rushed it, and I don't know what version I saw. I saw it after it had been out for a few weeks. So I'm assuming it was the patch version. But like, man, you could have told me it was the unfinished version. I would have believed you anyway. It just
that first day DLC. I saw it like immediately. I don't think it was opening day, but it might have been the day after. It was just so fucking magical. Maybe my favorite theater experience I've ever had. Second or right up there with did y'all see the Rings movie? Like the really bad 2017 Ring sequel?
No, I only saw the originals.
Oh, fuck. I got to see that movie with my friends from college. We were the only people in the theater except for like a couple who left about 20 minutes in. And we were just like losing our minds because we had the entire theater to ourselves, stoned as fuck. That movie is a trip. The guy from Big Bang Theory, not the Bazinga one, the other one is like trying to be a brooding professor, and it's just like, oh, I can't unsee Big Bang Theory right now. It's very bad. If you want a fun, bad horror movie, Rings is for
I
you.
love it when I watch people walk out of movies. It's one of my favorite things.
I was delighted. For movies that you've seen that people have walked out of, what were the movies and what was the point where they started walking out?
This is my all-time favorite, watching people leave a movie experience. So I went to see Bad Santa. You know, when did that come out? It's a long time ago now. It's 20 years ago or something, probably.
Yeah, like mid-90s, right?
I think I was home from college for Christmas because I went to see it at the Lowe's at the Willowbrook Mall in Wayne, New Jersey.
Whoa, 2003?
Yeah, so about 20 years. Okay, so what, really?
Yeah.
I guess that doesn't seem... Are you sure that wasn't the sequel?
I just Googled it. It's 2003.
Fuck, I would have guessed 1996.
I know, me too, because that's the kind of humor that's in it.
Anyway, so I went to see this movie, and it gets to the point where Lauren, what's her name? Lauren Graham, right? And Billy Bob Thornton are having sex in a car, and she's saying, "Fuck me, Santa, fuck me, Santa, fuck me, Santa." And at that point in the movie, a family stands up with its two young children and walks out of the theater. And I was just like gobsmacked because
That's funnier than the whole movie.
it's fun. It's an R-rated movie. And also, before you get to that point, there's like shit happening. It's not like the first thing that happens.
Almost immediately. It's not like a family-friendly movie. It's
No.
like, hey, look at this piece of shit.
Yep. And
I'd say, has Billy Bob Thornton ever been in... Like, I don't think children want to see Billy Bob Thornton, and nobody wants to see him having sex either.
no.
Like,
And also, it was like a 10 p.m. showing too. So why those kids were up and at an R-rated... Look, far be it from me to judge other people's parenting choices. Who knows what was going on with their lives, but it certainly seemed like maybe not the best decision.
Yeah, Bad Parents, the fucking movie right there.
Meouch, have you seen movies that people have walked out of that stand out in your memory?
I don't recall any off the top of my head. I don't go to a lot of theater movies, really.
Have you ever walked out of one?
No way. Movies are expensive. I'm gonna get my money's worth if I'm paying that kind of ticket price.
I
20
walked
bucks,
out.
I'll sit there.
Yeah.
I walked out of a movie semi-recently. I talked about on a recent episode being stuck in Boston about a year ago, last January, and I wanted to see A Star Is Born. I will just cop to this right away because I thought it might be great. And indeed, you know what? The first half of that movie is really good, and then the second half is a travesty. But there's some really good things. Anyway, saw the movie, had mixed feelings about it. I was like, you know what? It's Aquaman time. So I did the thing where I just walked into the theater next door, sat down. It was the kind of thing where it had just the timing was perfect. I walked in just as the movie was starting. Yes, I know this is maybe morally dubious, but fuck you. Stop judging me. And got through maybe 20 minutes of Aquaman, which I was seeing for free, mind you. And I was like, I really hate this. And
Oh my god, you went 0 for 2, man.
yeah. I have to say, A Star Is Born, there's some really good stuff in there. And the single, was it Shallow? Is that what it is? It's a great pop song. Like, you know, Lady Gaga has a wonderful voice, and the songwriting on that is fantastic. Like, they really, really nailed it.
Yeah, she's
'Cause I love
fabulous.
Sam Elliott. You know, there's a lot of great people in that film. But yeah.
Okay, I have a short story about A Star Is Born.
Oh, I want to hear it.
So we were on tour. It was a couple years ago. You guys remember that movie, The Nun? Remember that one?
Of course.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that flaming piece of shit movie.
Wait, was that a couple of years ago?
That was a couple years ago, I think. I don't know. Touring
Shit.
kind of blends.
I hate-
We saw it on tour. We basically were.
Time is
That is
fate.
part of the Controverse, right?
Oh yeah. I like the Conjuring movies. I mean, I think they're fun. I like most terrible movies, and those aren't terrible. But The Nun was like, that's just the same. All right, you just give me a jump scare every 30 seconds. It's the same one.
I love the character in that movie who they just picked out of a comedy and then dropped in there, and it's like, what the fuck are you
Are
doing?
you referring
man?
to The Nun?
It's a madcap comedy.
It's an old Steve
Continue,
Martin
Meouch.
character.
I would actually watch that movie though, like old Steve Martin character
Like
dropped
the
into a
jerk
legit
era
horror
Steve
movie.
Martin. Yeah, that is a
hell yeah.
funny idea. I really like that.
I guess that's sort of Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
A little bit, yeah.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
Oh, that movie's great. But yeah, so we went to go watch The Nun on the road, and before it started, the preview came on, and it was a preview for A Star Is Born, and like I didn't really know that it was a I knew nothing about this movie. All I know is that this like really dramatic music came up, and then it just like faded in. They're like a Bradley Cooper film, A Star Is Born, and it showed like, I don't remember, like maybe 30 seconds of the movie of like Bradley dipshit talking to what's her face, and like it was like really dramatic, and then like the music would fade back in, you know, A Star Is Born, Bradley Cooper. We're like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. And then like there'd be another preview for a completely different movie, and then after that preview was done, the dramatic swell would come back in, and it would say a fucking Bradley Cooper movie, and it was like some other scene. I think probably one with Sam Elliott, like
Oh my God.
no context, just like 30 seconds of the movie, and then like we're like, okay, what is this? Is this a joke? And then like the music would come in, and Bradley Cooper, and then another completely different trailer would drop, and then yet again, third time's the charm, the swell of the music, a Bradley Cooper film, and we're all sitting there being like, okay, what the fuck is this? Is this like some like amazing comedy, like advertising campaign? What is going on here? And also, why the fuck is it happening before we watch The Nun? It was so goddamn confusing, and then of course we found out later that it's like actually a movie, and
I couldn't believe there's a part of that movie where he like basically wakes up in Dave Chappelle's driveway, and then he walks into Dave Chappelle's house, and you're like,
yeah, that was one of the clips that
it
from
was?
the trailer. Yeah, that's another reason why I was like, this has got to be a comedy, right? Like, why the fuck is Dave Chappelle here? Like he's not dropping any jokes, but like he maybe he will. Yeah, I don't. It was
yeah,
very,
because they're
very
like,
strange.
I think they're best friends or something in the movie. I mean, I love Dave Chappelle. It was great to see him, but it's like, wait, you're just at Dave Chappelle's house now, and you got there somehow? All right, sure.
Before we rate a cat, I will share my other. I've never walked out of a movie. I never plan to. You know, if I hate something, I need to know why I hate it. I very nearly walked out of Knives Out. I have strong and well-documented hatred for that stupid fucking movie, and then I need to stop talking about it because everyone's like, I had fun, and like, that's great. That's how you should rank a movie, and not because you're a pretentious asshole who hates everything and hates Rian Johnson and hates that fucking awful script that's the embodiment of everything I hate about modern comedy writing. Anyway,
gear down there, Big Rig.
what?
It's a gear down there, Big Rig.
But that is the okay. We always call it out, and it seldom ends up being it. But "Gear Down There, Big Rig" is the title of this episode.
Oh, nice.
Okay, let's rate a cat.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Oh, yay! That sounds like fun.
So we also asked y'all to send us pictures of your cats
Kitties.
for us and Meouch to rate because it seemed appropriate.
I love cats.
So let's go first slide. This is Salem the cat, sent by Nat. Ooh, right.
So I'll describe this cat. This is now. Bear in mind, I am not a cat owner. I've never been a cat owner. I don't know the right words to describe cats. Still not sure what tabby means. This is a stripy cat with maybe a gray background and some whiteness on the mouth and kind of orangish eyes.
Really bright orange
Really
eyes.
bright orange eyes. Wearing in one photo, the cat is semi-obscured behind some kind of plant, and in the other photo, the cat is wearing what looks like a little Santa-style hat, like a knit hat with a little white poofy thing on the end.
That's a toque, bro.
I wasn't gonna say it Okay, fine. I guess
Canadian
you can't help
can't
yourself.
confirm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canadian can't confirm. That's a fucking toque, bud.
It's a toque, cat and a toque.
Yeah.
This is such a duality of man, duality of cat kind of situation because the toque photo is like, oh, he's chilling, but then the second one is like a real Instagram influencer kind of shot, like soft pastels, the plant in the
It's a much
foreground,
better
like-
picture too.
Yeah, totally. So I like the get you a cat who can do both kind of vibe.
How are we rating these cats? Are we using a scale, numerical, A through F, or what? What are we doing here? Let's just rate it with our own personal scales, and it doesn't matter if they align. This cat is a C plus for me. It's fine. I'm not really into it.
Wow. Brutal.
Yeah, look, I gotta be honest.
I'm gonna say for me, this is like a 7 of a cat. You know, like I want to pet that cat.
That is actually a lower rating than mine because a C is a 70%.
Well,
So I'm just
It's a
putting
very-
that
it's a
I'm just
ju- it's a
putting that out
juiced
there.
7.
Okay,
it's a juiced
you
7.
mean almost like a C plus.
a C plus plus.
Great. For all you coders out there.
I'm gonna rate this cat. I'm gonna give him 5 whiskers out of 5 whiskers. I love his toque, but he looks like a bastard.
Oh, okay.
Definitive ranking.
Yeah.
Do we want to do one more before we get into advice?
All right, Meouch, do you want to describe cat number 2 here?
Sure. It looks like a adorable little orange kitty.
Make sure
a
to say
big old-
who's it from.
Oh, who's it from? It's the kitty's name's Oliver from Alex. So it's Oliver. Yeah, it's kind of like a little orange kitty, hanging out with some Christmas lights. And the two pictures.
Can you say kitty again, just like you did?
kitty?
That's the one. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there's your soundbite, bud. Yeah,
Kitty.
he's very festive. He's gearing up for Christmas.
Yeah, he's sitting on top of some like Christmas lights.
Yeah, and I'm sure the little bastard will take him right off the tree as soon as they go up, for sure.
And in the second photo, another orange cat, who I believe from the email is Oliver's brother, is swatting him on.
Oh, see,
right.
I was hoping that cat had one really long arm.
That's what I assumed as well. Yeah.
Or that's like the tail wrapping around.
Yeah. Okay, so since that's not that cat's arm, this cat is a C minus. I had really high hopes. And rather than having one very, very long cat arm, it's a different cat. I don't like that. Yeah, C minus. Not into it.
I'm gonna give this cat a P for I want to pet it.
Cool.
This kitty's getting 5 out of 5 whiskers again, and those Christmas lights are not going to last.
No.
Whatsoever.
Yeah,
In fact, that cat is going to get straight up electrocuted.
Oh yeah, that's the Christmas vacation cat scenario for sure.
Can we just
Oh, that poor kid.
real quick go on to this next slide because I think there's something worth talking about here. By the way, did we already say
Okay,
that we're
yeah.
posting all these pictures on our Instagram? So at Leighton
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
underscore, right? Night.
underscore. Yeah.
Yeah.
May I describe these awful beasts?
I would love it. Yes.
So we have two very strange looking cats here. They're two different cats. So the first one is an orange cat. It's like a red head, bright yellow eye. Looks a lot like a rooster. And these are from Wayne. And neither of these creatures have names. And then the other one is just like an abomination, covered in white feathers.
Is that a Persian?
just-
Do you think?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the beak is like open. That's like straight up cat. It looks like he's been munching on some clovers. So these are some strange cats indeed.
These are the best cats I've ever seen. This is
Agreed.
To quote 1999 eBay, A plus 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 plus
Ships quick.
10 out of 10 would buy again.
11 out of 10 for me.
That's a glowing
These are
rating.
great.
Yeah, those are two fabulous cocks. I will say. Yeah, 5 whiskers out of 5 whiskers, for sure.
Great. All right, next question.
Great. Cool.
I think that was a successful cat rating.
Yeah, it's worth noting that one of the first mini-sode Brian and I recorded was this same deal where we had people send us their pets, and then we described the pets and then gave them names, and we recorded it, we edited it, and then I was like, Brian, we can't post this. This sucks.
It was. I think I had a more positive opinion of it than you did.
You certainly did, but it was going to be like our first mini-sode, second official episode, and I was like, this is not a strong start of us fumbling over describing a creature.
It's true.
And I don't even know if this works now, but whatever, deal with it. If you guys want to hear that mini-sode, you got to subscribe to our OnlyFans.
Hold on. I'm gonna loudly eat a pretzel into the mic because I want to see how this sounds.
Don't like that.
Oh,
I don't like that either.
no. Oh, so good. Oh.
Can you get that like a little bit wetter? Ah.
Oh, the peanut butter is really sticking to the roof of my mouth.
All right, everyone, welcome to the last episode of Late at Night.
Yum. Whatever.
Creative differences.
I'm going to do the opposite of ASMR, which I think I'm going to call ZSMR, where I just scream and clip the microphone while eating pretzels.
You guys hear my freak dog losing her mind?
What's going on?
Creature, where are you? Awful beast.
Oh,
She's sitting on my bed across the room and staring at me through my IKEA bookcase. Hey, no. All right. Well, sorry. Okay, I'm going to read one that is like art related. Assuming everything works out okay by August, I'll be starting college with a major in sequential art at Kennesaw State. I'm thrilled, even though it's not quite my dream school. SCAD is just too damn expensive, LMAO. But I'm worried about how to keep interest in art and staying engaged with my work when there's so much pressure put on creating. Schoolwork, having to do art for a job, both while in school and beyond. I do freelance work on the side and take classes at my high school currently, so I'm somewhat used to creating under pressure, but I guess a small part of me fears that I'll lose inspiration and motivation once I get there. TLDR, how do you stay focused and inspired after a big change / when you literally have to be creating something?
this is a great question. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I pulled this one from the stack. And this is from Maggie. Maggie, I went to SCAD for sequential art, which was also initially this is my too expensive choice, but I applied to, all the big boys in the United States, SAIC and MICA and RISD and Pratt, like all the, you will be in debt forever ones. And SCAD, though too expensive, was the least expensive of the bunch. And I got the biggest scholarships to all those schools, and it was rough. If we hadn't have made Dream Daddy and I hadn't have dropped out, I would have had to drop out anyway. But yeah, I went for 2 years. Don't be too bummed about not getting to go to SCAD, especially for the sequential art program. This might be, this is potentially a hot take, but I was miserable the entire time. I regret going. I was so... I guess my high school, and I know a lot of high schools and just society does this, they put so much pressure on like going to a big name school that people will recognize. I will say, as having worked as art director on several projects at this point, I couldn't tell you where my employees or anybody on my team went to school. It doesn't matter. What I want to know is, can you answer an email on time and can you do the work? Whatever. Anyway, so art school puts you in a pressure cooker and gives you like no space to really gestate on stuff, because they just throw you into the deep end and they're like, well, if you hate this amount of work, then you're never going to make it as a freelancer, which I think is kind of bullshit, because that's true. But if you're trying to learn and get better and you're doing like 25% effort on everything because you're taking, 4 classes and all of them are super overwhelming and too much work, and it's like you have to fill up a sketchbook in an entire week. So it kind of maintaining that desire to create when you were just stuck in there, because I remember just being like, I don't want to draw for myself. I don't give a shit about what I'm making right now. Like, I'm just doing it to get it done. And the whole point is that you're supposed to be learning through kind of constantly doing this work. But for me, I started taking like really bad shortcuts just so I could get it done, because it was better to have a finished piece than not have a piece. But yeah, what are y'all's takes on maintaining inspiration? Because I gotta sit on that for a minute when there's so much pressure.
You really, really love art school, I can tell.
Yeah.
Which we want to go
great.
going back, eh?
I mean, it's hard. Anything that the moment something becomes a thing you have to do, it loses a little bit of the magic, right? And that's true for me. That was true for physics. That was true for music a little bit. It's and for me. This is relevant. Like this is interesting to me because I went through a career change, right? Where I went from music being a hobby. I mean, it was something I studied in school. My undergraduate degree is music and math, so I was a music major at Williams, and then I was a hobbyist or whatever until I quit physics to do Ninja Sex Party, and then I was like, okay, well, this is my full-time job now. So I, as an adult, like had to go from, hey, this is something fun I get to do on the side to this is something I now have to do full time, which is a tremendous thing. And I'm very lucky to be able to do it. Of course, like do not interpret this as, hey, oh, I wish I wish I'd never done that. Of course, I'm not saying that. I can't believe how lucky I am that I get to be a full-time musician, but it is definitely a challenge to keep creating. And for me, the biggest thing is not the inspiration thing. It's that I have to run my own business, with Danny and with Brent, who are basically the other two people that deal with NSP. But it's the challenges of having to deal with all the annoying financial business running stuff at the same time as being creative. And the only way, I have to say, I haven't found a consistent way of maintaining excitement and inspiration. I'd say 90% of the time I'm super excited and, we sit down to do it and we do it and it's great. But I don't have a great strategy. I know what works for some people, and this to a limited extent has worked for me, is set aside, chunk out your day into times. Like you create from whatever, 8 to 10 in the morning, and then you take a few hours off, and then you run, do business stuff for a few hours, and then you're writing again, or drawing or whatever, for another couple hours. Like some people find that structure to be really, really, really useful. I personally have never been successful in implementing that, but it's hard.
8 to
It's real
10?
hard.
Are you fucking serious, bro? 8 to 10?
Yeah, hey, I
fuck?
definitely find I write, if I can get an early start, I write a lot of my best stuff, right after waking up and having breakfast.
Oh, for sure.
Fully
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a night owl kind of person, but if I wake up at like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., I'm just like knocking it out. And a big part of it is like building up the momentum of going from like, this is probably a thing I was going to say for another question because a lot of them are very kind of along the same lines. But when you're starting work, you don't want to just go in dry, I suppose. You like want to warm up. Like if you're going to exercise or go for a run, you got to stretch first. If you're going to draw, you need to warm up first. If you're going to write, also warm up, like I was mentioning on the last episode. But it's good to get stuff under your belt that you intentionally put in a zone that is lower stakes. So a thing that I'll do a lot when I'm, getting into drawing, instead of just trying to like line a piece immediately, which if you haven't warmed up, you're just going to feel like a shit artist because of course it's not going to look good. But I will do bad drawings at the top of the page and then intentionally do a bunch of like me trying to do a shit drawing. And it like 9 times out of 10, when I do that, I end up having a page of like shit that's really interesting and that I can kind of carry into like my more quote unquote serious work for the day. And like, I think there are times where like being in a pressure cooker really inspires a lot of creativity because I think putting gates on what you're doing or limitations really force you to be more creative. Mm-hmm. But then there are times where it's just like, how could I like I have the thing about creativity being that you have this entire world of like, you have every word, you have a blank page, like you could do anything. That's so daunting. And with the additional pressure, it like, it's like when you get up to speak and like all the words fall out of your head, like it's too much pressure. You gotta start small, break it up into manageable chunks. And if you're not, really feeling it creatively one day, that doesn't mean that you're not an artist or that you're not doing a good job. Like we have a limited capacity to hold energy. And if you all are familiar with spoon theory, have you heard of spoon theory?
No.
It's this idea that that applies to mental illness mostly, but like, for example, at the beginning of every day, you have a pile of spoons, and every activity that you do expends spoons. So maybe like going to the store is a spoon, or, going to class and doing homework is 2 spoons. But it's just sort of like, how much energy do I have to spend today?
Yeah.
And, if you're dealing with depression or anxiety, you start the day with fewer spoons. Or if you expend all your energy in one day, you will go into the next day with fewer spoons. And so, like, spoon management is a nice shorthand for, like, yeah, if you did a lot of shit today and then you're sitting down and trying to write, like, don't be too hard on yourself that you're not full productivity.
Totally.
Creativity is like, nothing in nature stays all year. Like, everything has a natural ebb and flow. It's like the tide going in and coming back in. Just know that it'll come back.
The one thing I would say that kind of goes along with that is, and I think I may have even said this before, I say this a lot to people asking, like, how do I do this, is never wait for, not never, don't only just wait for inspiration. Like, that's a great way of never getting anything really done. For any kind of creative field. Like, you'll ebb and flow for sure, but you got to make a habit out of doing it. Even when you're not inspired, do something. Like, if it's just 30 seconds, whatever it is, get it out there, do a thing. Because if you just wait, this is something I think a lot of younger people, I'll just say it, do wrong. I'm not inspired today, so I'm not gonna do anything. If you're doing it as a job, do it. And maybe you just throw it out, and maybe you don't like it or whatever. But certainly some of the times it's going to end up being something you like. And as you do it, you'll get inspired to continue. So don't wait for inspiration to start doing stuff.
And that was a common refrain through all these emails, and I'm sure with some questions that we'll answer after this one, where it's like, you have to get out of your own way. The only thing stopping you from making the thing is being in your own head about it, or, you just have to start and do it. And I think there's so many people who are creative and who want to be an artist or who want to be a writer. And it's like, you're not going to get to that point if you allow yourself to be paralyzed out of making something, especially. And that's like such a bummer and a shame if the only thing stopping you is you.
Totally. What about
Meouch? What's your take?
Just about to ask.
You guys covered all the bases, I think. Don't have much to add other than that, Yeah, just fucking, get up and do it. If it sucks, it sucks. Just do it again.
Yeah, the only way to improve is just by failing a whole hell of a lot.
Oh yeah, you
gotta
suck before you're good.
And
yeah, and there's a lot of freedom in like really sucking at something. Like, it's fun to pick up a new hobby and just be like, I'm shit at this, and I'm gonna be shit at it for a long time. But it's what we were talking about. Like, that takes the pressure off of you of not feeling like you have to be brilliant at it immediately.
Yeah, and so I mean, this is a big thing for me in science too. Like, the difference between science and art is, in science you can spend hours, days, months, years working on something, and then have it be like objectively wrong at the end. So, and this happened. I have drafts of papers that we wrote that we spent months on, me and collaborators, where at the end we were like, I guess this isn't working. Okay, can't put it out at the end. The nice thing about art is there's no right or wrong. And you can, like, sometimes the science, you come back and you figure out how to fix it. It happens. Sometimes there's just a fatal flaw you didn't see. And I feel like that happens less often in art. Like, sometimes you'll get to the end of something and be like, well, that didn't really work. But maybe you come back the next day or next year or whatever, and you're like, oh, actually, I like that. Because it's just, about subjective opinion. But
yeah, that's a thing that I like to ask people about a lot. Like, in school, there usually is sort of a delineation of people who are really good at math and science, but not as good at like English and history and art. And then there's the inverse of that, where you're really good at English and history, but not as good at math or science. And of course, there are people who are good at all of them or whatever. But I think it's sort of because like I have been abysmal at math and science my entire life. Like I would be like straight A+ on everything and then a D in math. This is sort of a lie because I was a big sciencey person for a long time and like competed in state competitions and did well, whatever. But, I think with math and science, it's like, there is usually the one correct answer, and if you follow the rules and follow the facts, you will arrive at the one correct answer, which I'm sure Brian is a physicist, that you refute me on that, whatever. I just mean in terms of high school math problems or whatever.
Yeah.
But with like English and such, if you can bullshit into the answer, you're probably correct. Like, it's sort of like you have the wide range of subjective stuff, and as long as you can kind of formulate it and phrase it the right way, like, you're right.
Yeah, with science, with like research science, there's not a right answer necessarily. Like you're trying to figure something out. In the if you're a biologist or whatever, like there's often you're just trying to figure out how something works, and sometimes you figure it out and sometimes you don't. But it's not necessarily like sometimes the result is just the result, right? It's not that there's a right or wrong thing you're looking for. And the kind of thing I did, which was mathematically based, it's theoretical physics. You're doing pencil and paper math or computer aided math. Like sometimes you go down some path. It's not necessarily that there's something wrong. I mean, your initial guess for how things work might have been wrong, but sometimes there are just problems that you're like, okay, we got this to a point, and I don't know. Like sometimes for mathematical reasons or sometimes for theoretical like physics reasons, you just can't proceed anymore because it becomes an unsolvably hard thing, and that's what you get to, and sometimes you just can't deal with it, and occasionally you get to a point where it becomes unsolvably hard, and then someone invents a technique to solve it, or you invent it because you're trying to figure out how to solve this fucking problem, and then you just keep going. A lot of famously, there are fields of mathematics that were invented on the way to proving Fermat's last theorem. People talk about algebraic geometry being this. Like sometimes you're trying to solve a really hard thing, and the detours and little byroads you take to get there end up being interesting in and of themselves. So with science, I wouldn't say generally with research science there's a right or wrong answer. Everything is just a process, and sometimes you get to a point where you're like, well, I don't think I can say any more about this, and it doesn't really add up to enough of a result.
Yeah, that was definitely a generalization from me, and I think I brought it up because I wanted to ask Meouch, were you like math and science boy, or were you, English history sort of deal?
What do you think? Yeah, I mean,
What do you think?
Yeah, that's such a like trap question. Like, how old do you think I am? It's like there's no answer that either of us are gonna be pleased with.
well, I mean, like in high school, like I did fine. I did my advanced math and pre-cal, and I liked science and physics and biology. I liked all those things. I was okay at them. They were never like passion for me, so I never really pursued them beyond just getting a decent grade from my mom. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed art class and music and all that other stuff way more. Pursued that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Would we like to rate another
Yeah.
cat?
Yeah, let's do a kitty.
Next slide. Okay, so this is Blue from Riley. It's a beautiful little. Is that a Siamese cat, maybe? I think maybe not, but the coloring is similar, and appropriately named because this cat has like the bluest eyes I've ever seen on a cat, like bright teal, beautiful, sitting on like the bottom bit of a stool where the little paws are hanging over the bar that connects the stool legs. Wistful.
Oh, sorry. Are we?
We're just contemplating this cat.
I'm just lost in the eyes, to be honest.
The blue.
You guys talking
Seriously.
about?
The blue of of this cat's eyes is really, really remarkable.
Oh, it's astounding.
I'm transfixed.
This cat.
This is like an outstanding cat.
I went into this thinking that I was not going to rate any cat higher than a B because not really a cat person. This cat's A minus. Like I really like it. That's high praise from me. This is
Brian,
an A minus cat.
As a former professor, what was your like grading ethos? Were you like the highest you can get is an A minus because you can always do better, or
No. I
or
mean,
were
I wrote exams and homeworks that could be done and then never needed. Grading on a curve is not something really people do anymore because then So if you really grade on a curve, then some percentage of the class is guaranteed to fail or whatever, right? That's just what a
Yeah.
curve means. So I always gave fair exams and then just did it based on the percentage correct. And generally, like my goal was always if you kind of did the basic work, you can, do great on the exam. And like, yeah, no, I was not a harsh grader at all. I will say that because I was a professor in England, there's something kind of fucked up about the British exam system where a lot of the exam, so, for most universities in England, I realize we're getting off topic on this cat, which is still an A minus. The most universities in England, they do all the exams at the end of the year for the whole academic year. So you take all these classes, and then all the exams are at the end. And a lot of them are the exams are essentially modeled on the exam from the previous year. So a lot of the ways people study is they just get an old exam, try to do it again, and then do all the old exams, and then because most faculty, professors, whatever, operate like this, the exam will be a relatively small tweak on the previous year's exam. And so when I took over the class that I taught, which was statistical physics, I taught it a different way and had to write a totally different exam to be consistent with the way I was teaching the class. And although I said this many, many times to the students, like, it's not going to be the same as last year's exam. It's going to be modeled on the homework I give, not last year's exam. People who listened to that did very well. The people who were just studying old exams didn't do very well. So I definitely got some angry students, which I feel bad about, of course. So, I wanted to be fair. But
I mean, you told them.
yeah, but I was operating in I'm also an American in a British system, and I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. I was just like, it's not going to be the same as what you're used to. But a lot of people also, I didn't take attendance or anything like that. I'm not going to take attendance in a college level class. If you didn't show up, you didn't hear that. So, but no, I was never ever harsh. But I did teach at, a reasonably high level. Like, I didn't pander to I didn't make the class super, super easy. But I think, I tried to be very, very fair when it came to grading. And because I've had teachers, when you go to physics grad school, some of your teachers are like, one person in this class will get an A. That sucks. I hate that. It's just so demoralizing. So I always wanted to be fair.
Yeah, and it's also it feels more punitive than educational.
Oh yeah, I mean, I took a lot of classes where the highest grade that anyone in the class got in an exam was a 50 out of 100, and it's just kind of some professors just like to make really hard exams, and then you can't design that you can't do most of it. I think that's bullshit. I hate the flog people into submission way of testing.
Yeah, it's very counterproductive. That I don't get to hear you talk about professor stuff a lot, so that's really interesting to me. But let's rate this cat with that in mind.
A minus. I'm not changing my opinion just because I went on a little digression. It's a solid cat. This is still an A minus.
Damn it, my plans were foiled. I'm gonna give this cat A plus just to spite Brian. Also, those eyes, just stunning.
Jeepers creepers, where'd you get them papers? 5 out of 5 whiskers? Oh
Wow.
my god. Look at those beautiful eyes. I'm just going to barf on the floor immediately after this photo is taken. I'm sure. Yeah, I love it.
Oh,
blue. Also, best color. Love it. So good. So nice.
Yeah, gorgeous. Let's do one more cat, and then we'll go back to questions. Meouch, would you describe this cat?
Sure. This is Midna from Rachel. It's a big kind of shaved, got a shaped gut, kind of splayed out on the floor. It's got some brown fur. It's got some white fur. Looking like the cat partied a little too hard the night before, passed out, and then their other cat buddies shaved the gut as a prank. I think that's what happened with this cat. Yeah, and then in a second photo, definitely the cat just looks like the cat just ate an entire pizza to themselves, trying to work out the hangover from the night before.
Yeah, that is totally how I was going to describe that second picture. Like that is the essence of being hungover.
Oh, that is just shame. Yeah, that's just a portrait of shame right there.
I'm not sure how much I can emphasize how like the primary feature of this cat is the shaved gut, like that tongue, that big old tongue.
It's so pink and hairless. It's crazy. It really does.
This big old
it does
tummy.
not look natural. I mean, that's yeah.
But I want to touch it so bad. I want to give him little scratchies.
Yeah, for sure.
The-
All right. I guess this cat is a C. It's fine. Whatever. Cute stomach. Not much else going on for me.
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna say like 9.5.
Cool.
9.5, right on. Very cool. I'm going to give this kitty 5 whiskers out of 5 whiskers. Really on board with, they like to have a good time. They like to party down, and they know how to recover the next day, I feel.
I just want to keep staring at the second photo. Like the eyes really just bore into your soul.
Oh, the eyes say in so many words, I've made a huge mistake.
It's such a with the gut too, like you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
The day of my kitten's wedding.
Oh yes. Let's do Meouch. Would you like to read a question? I do want to pick one that is like a little bit more geared towards you because Brian and I have been monologuing.
Yeah, sure. My name is Natalia. My question is for everyone. What chord progression speaks to your soul? What mood does it evoke, and why? I'll take a crack at this one. Give me that 251, baby.
Oh shit.
Give me that 251. I had to say it first. It was steal your answer. Yeah, give me 2 5s for fucking days, bud. Lay them out.
Yeah. So to be specific about what Meouch is talking about, usually it's in a scale. It's 2 minor 7, 5 7, 1. In major, anyway. Those chords change a little bit if you're in minor. And it's like the stereotypical like jazz turnaround or whatever. It's how you resolve to the key you're in. Typically, it's like a classic jazz pattern.
Oh, preach, baby.
Can you are there like songs that you could name specifically if people would like to hear what that sounds like?
Literally every jazz song. Like,
all right.
Is this going to come through? Oh, I was just going to do it. Do it. That's it.
There it is. Beautiful.
Don't do. Oh, fuck! He beat me to it.
Gotcha.
God, I'm like grinning ear to ear right now.
One I've always liked. It's kind of a classic. Again, a jazz turnaround, which is like how you at the end of a verse you get back to the beginning. Is it's from this Tad Dameron tune called "Lady Bird." It's one.
The Lady Bird turnaround, is that where Greta Gerwig spins in a circle?
It's the chord progression usually is 1, let's say major, 1 major and 1 major 7, flat 3 major 7, flat 6 major 7, flat 2 major 7, 1. So in C it sounds like, I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Hear that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a way of
it's-
kind of resolving. It takes you out of the key a little bit. And so in C, for example, in C major, those chords would be E flat major 7, A flat major 7, D flat major 7, none of which are in C major at all. And it's just a cool little like way to spice things up at the end of a
Yeah, I
verse.
love it. Big fan.
So those are your favorites. Do you find that when you're writing your own music, you incorporate those a lot, or are there ones that you like tend to lean on a bit more?
Never. I never use that shit. Like it's because I don't really write in
It's
that
your favorite
style.
to hear.
I like it. What it does, I would say I use it. I don't use that exactly, but I will always look for chords out of the key I'm writing in to go to for a second to like spice things up, and so it's kind of it. Often I'll think like, oh well, what if I went to the flat 3 here or whatever. You're writing in major to go out of the key for a second and then bring yourself back, and that's what that does really well. Pops out of the key for a second and then brings it back home.
Oh yeah, I'm not allowed to use 2-5-1s anymore. My license was revoked.
Yeah, Meouch, do you have stuff that you gravitate towards in your own work?
Writing?
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, I'm kind of a shit writer. That's not my strong point. Phobos and Sung are far more talented writers when it comes to laying out chords, and at least in the context of twerp.
Well, okay, so there's another question that might speak to that a little bit more. Brian, would you read the one that I highlighted?
All right, here we go. Hi, I'm Blaze, they, them.
Oh,
I was curious. Blaze, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And Blaze says they're curious about the creative process when doing backing instrumentals for songs. So, for example, I know Dr. Sung had mentioned once that Meouch and Have take the songs Sung and Phobos write and, quote, make them funky, unquote. I'm curious to know how the making it funky works. Thank you.
That's the episode title,
So,
How the Making
how
It
the
Funky
making
Works.
it funky works. I love that. So, Meouch, how do you make it funky?
How do you make it funky? Oh, man. There's lots of ways to make something funky. I guess if you wanted to break it down, the man Bootsy Collins he's got that basic funk formula, man. He breaks it down real good. You
Describe.
you throw down the one, you make that one really pop, and then you kind of just you wiggle around until you come back around to the one. In so many words. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways. You can get into like syncopation, you can get into like ghost notes, certain things like that. Playing fun.
What's a ghost note? That sounds spooky.
A ghost note, yeah, it's a very haunted note. It will you kind of haunt a song a little bit. Ghost note is like
I'm sorry, I don't believe in ghost notes.
oh, we have a skeptic. Ghost note is like not quite a note, more of a percussive rhythmic thing you can do.
It's like you hit the note but kind of don't lean into it all the way. The note basically doesn't sound, kind of. So
Yeah.
it's like often with ghost notes, it's the kind of thing where you can like infer it based on a pattern, but you don't actually hit it. So it's almost like there's just a little wisp of where the note should have been.
Could either of you give us a little taste of that?
Sure, yeah. So all the little like hiccups and
Yeah, okay, that
different-
makes
Yeah,
sense.
does it make a little more sense? Hear it that
And
way?
I mean, typically, this is something you hear a lot. I'm a sax player too. So on sax, you'll see all these things where it's almost like the air is there, but so it's not quite the percussive thing that Meouch was doing on bass, but it's like the air, the breath is there, but not the pitch.
Brian, can we ever get you to play sax on the show?
Yeah, sure, but not today. 'Cause I have to set it up.
Not today, Satan. Not today, Leighton.
Not today, Leighton.
I can't believe I've never gotten that one before.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was this game that I used to play with my cousins where we would, you do the thing where you take the first letter of your name and you put it in front of every word because that's the kind of bullshit, stupid game that
Like
children
what? Give me an
play.
example of this.
Lee, Len, Lai, Luzzens, Laraline, and Lara, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So my cousin Sarah, that automatically
Sorry, I
made
believe
my
you
name
mean
Satan.
Lara.
Yeah, my cousin Lara, whose name starts with an S. My relatives caught her calling me Satan, and then we got a very stern talking to about how we couldn't play that game anymore and how I shouldn't be called Satan. Shouldn't be invoking the name of the
That's
devil.
awesome.
So yeah, then we weren't allowed to play that game anymore.
To get back to this question a little bit, like with backing stuff, I don't think this answers the question quite in the way the person was intending, but my philosophy in all this stuff is surround yourself with good musicians and then just let them go. Like, don't worry about prescribing too many things that are going to happen in the background. Do a bunch of takes, but trust good people to be good, and then, something's almost always gonna happen. And that's what we do with twerp. Like, we write these NSP tunes, we send them to twerp, and sometimes we'll have things like, okay, we got to have this line or this particular thing, but Meouch, wouldn't you say? I mean, most of the stuff you guys do is not, for NSP stuff anyway, is not prescribed by us ahead of time, right?
No, I mean, usually, when we get a song from you guys, and I find the best way to do it is almost don't sit with it too long.
Yep.
Work out the changes, make sure you know what's what, but kind of like have that little bit of spontaneity in a recording session.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much more fun too.
It's way more fun, and you end up getting like way better results. I find doing that. It doesn't work with all musicians, but we're all enough of us have like an improvisational background or some kind of jazz schooling or music schooling where we know how to just feel something out as opposed to like reading it directly from a sheet.
No, for sure. And the other thing is I would never, I mean, I've been in bands with musicians not as good as you guys who needed everything spelled out ahead of time. But
I hate that shit.
I hate it too. And, it's like, I don't want to be, even though I love his music, I don't want to be Frank Zappa where it's like, no, you've got to play this note in this way. Like it seems
joyless.
It's just, I mean, I think it can be, very exhilarating when it's done right, but it seems that's not the kind of person I want to be where it's like, I'm in charge, do it my way. That's, okay. Like that's not how I enjoy being.
Well, building off of that question and what you guys just said, we got an email from B who asks, when working creatively in a group, how do you balance following your own creative vision for something with the perhaps slightly different visions of everyone else, particularly when you're limited in the amount of content you can create, as in you can't just solve the issue by eventually getting to everyone's ideas?
This is a challenge. This one's hard. So obviously the big one in my life is Ninja Sex Party, and it is a constant, discussion. And the thing that Danny and I said from the beginning is no egos. Like, we throw out ideas and then we're honest with each other about what we like and what we don't like. Now, I will say Dan has much stronger ideas about what he likes and doesn't like than I do. I tend to be pretty easygoing with like, yeah, that's cool, let's try that. Dan is much more likely to be like, nope, I hate that, I don't want to do that, which is great. Like, I mean, there's not a better or worse way to be.
Which I also think is important for, like, you need to have the different creative approaches for stuff. Sorry to interrupt your train a little bit too much, but I think that having those kinds of differences is really valuable and important.
I totally agree. And at least with me, like, if, occasionally I will, even when Dan says, I don't like that, I will fight for it if I really believe in it. That's like maybe 1 out of every 5 times. Most of the time it's like, all right, cool, let's try something else. And now Dan and I write with our producer, Jim Roach. So what will typically happen with the music is Jim and I will write something together. Occasionally we'll bring our own things in. And then, Dan will be like that, don't like that, etc. But there is it's just a constant discussion. And the other thing is I think the wrong way to think about it is make sure everyone gets an equal amount of time. That's just impossible to do. Like, what is an idea equal in terms of time? Like, there's just no way to realistically do that. The important thing is that everybody feels heard and valued. And that most of that is not necessarily in what gets used in the song. It's how people respond to each other with artistic feedback. So I think that's the most important part of that is, like, if you're treating people respectfully, and being honest, then that's 90% of that battle. So I don't think about it as like an equal time thing.
Yeah, and speaking to it from a game development perspective, you are a team of a bunch of different people from a bunch of different disciplines. You have your programmers, you have your 3D modelers, you have your artists, you have your writers, you have your director, your producer, whatever. Making a game is such a ultimate team effort, and ultimately what you all want out of it is to have the best product possible. And it really is about balancing, like when people come from different disciplines, and this is like certainly not a knock on programmers at all, but like especially having been an art director, there is sort of a disconnect in the communication styles where it's sort of like what I was talking about earlier with this like one right answer versus sort of a subjective like a kind of nebulous thing where you have to learn to bridge that gap between two things that are like very, very different conceptually that require different approaches. And a lot of times it turns into, a programmer being like, to do this thing that you want me to do, I need you to be way more specific and like pretty much tell me exactly how this needs to be. Whereas like that can't really happen. So it all sort of like boils down to how you're communicating and how you're keeping it constructive. And then, you have to keep the ego out of it. It's about making the good thing. And if you're in any position to be choosing who you're working with, you want people that you trust, and you need to know what your limits are and what your weaknesses are and what other people's strengths are that can back up and compensate for your weaknesses. Like if you don't know how to do a thing, you find the person who knows how to do the thing and you trust them.
And I think it's important also to, game development has this much more than most music, but sometimes people are just in charge and you got to do what they say and rely on them for the final word. So I think it's important to know what one's role is in the power structure of any relationship, right? I'm not saying that like, you should just roll over and say, okay, you're in charge, whatever, all the time. But sometimes that's kind of the structure of a way thing is like this person's in charge and I got to do what they say.
And it's a lot of like choosing the hill to die on, know,
for sure.
I've seen teams just get totally like broken down by everyone being totally obstinate about what's happening. And it's like, oh, this is, time and resources and getting something done quickly because game development is so intense, especially in the indie space. It's like you don't have time to be getting into like spats over stuff. Like it's so counterproductive. And again, it's about making the good thing, not who contributed the most to this good thing or who had the best ideas for this thing or how much of it ended up in the final project. Like it's completely a process that's iterative. And especially with like, wait, was this in this question or was this in another question? Oh, in terms of like limited in the content that you create, that's just inherently how taking a project from start to finish works.
Yep. Hey, Meouch, how does twerp work with this stuff? Like, what is your dynamic for getting stuff in there? I mean, Sung and Phobos write, 90%, 99%, whatever percentage it is. They write pretty much everything, right? In terms of the basic structure.
It's changed over the years. Recently, the last few albums we've done have been far more collaborative than that. Just by the nature of, we do writing retreats now, so like when we gear up for a record, we'll go in and everyone will have little bits and pieces, but it's less of fully arranged songs. So now when we write, someone will have an idea structure, maybe like an A-B verse, chorus, or just a riff, and then we'll all sit around and just shed it. And it kind of doesn't matter who comes up with what part, or if it changes down the road. The way we gauge if something works is normally if we all start laughing hysterically, we know that we've got a winner, and we'll keep it. Usually the dumbest idea wins.
Yeah.
If it makes us laugh, then we've got it. We've got something nailed down.
That was totally the deal with Dream Daddy too, of just like, if this makes everybody laugh, we're running with it, even if especially if it's stupid. And I think so much of the good shit in Dream Daddy that resonated with people was just us being like, will they let us get away with this? Like, are we allowed?
For NSP, we're in an interesting space because we want the music to be awesome and the jokes to be funny. and we also don't want to we don't want to be pornographic or gross. The way we think about it is a lot of our as we go on, like the sexual content of our songs has decreased quite a bit since what it was originally. I think it's just because of what, it's not really a conscious choice. It's just like we're just writing what we find funny. But from the beginning, we never wanted it to be like gross. And so we're not only, so we just have a musical question, which is, chords and melody and that kind of thing. But we also have a comedy question, which is this funny? Is it funny enough? And is it crossing some line that we don't want to cross? And the music, like, we can all agree on very, very easily. The comedy stuff, I mean, we agree on 99% of it, but that's something where there are a lot of discussions with me and Dan and Jim Roach, our producer, that, is like, all right, was this too far over some imaginary line or what? So I think adding the comedy into it, especially, in the kind of comedy space we work in, it's an extra challenge because we really like, we're not trying to be like edgy or anything like that. I hate that word and I hate that mode of being, but we want to be funny but not offend anyone, and that's a hard line to walk.
Yeah, and I think another thing that kind of helps that out in terms of, you're kind of lining out, want it to be good music, want it to be funny. If you're working on a team, it's really important to have the mutuality of definition where constantly making sure that everyone kind of has these tangible things that you can work towards and that, like, definitionally, fuck it, whatever, you know what you're doing, and sort of having these goalposts of, like, what does this thing that we're making need to accomplish? And of course, like, chunking this up of, like, okay, we need this scene to have this, and this, and, just making sure that there are guidelines, because people's take on things are so different and so subjective. And unless you're checking in constantly about that stuff, you're not going to know what the other person's, like, mental conception of the thing is. It's like about making sure everyone has the same internal vocabulary and all knowing, okay, these are like the pillars of what this project is. Are we reaching these pillars in a tangible way?
All right, Meouch, this next segment is called What's Poppin', and check out this theme song.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? All right, what did you think of the theme song?
I like the space in it. It's very calming.
Great.
Brian,
Yes.
what's poppin'?
Well, Leighton, what's poppin' for me? Real quick, I'm reading this book I really love. It's by A.R. Moxon, and it's called The Revisionaries. It's pretty recent, last several months, I think. And I'm only about 150 pages into it, but it's like a comic novel. Right now, the main thing that is going on is there's a kind of like priest guy who's not a real priest, but whatever, who sees a man that keeps blinking in and out of existence, and he's trying to figure out what's going on with it. That is a vastly oversimplified version of what's happening right now, but it's
Good pitch, though.
It's like you just start reading it, you're just immediately in. It's really well written. It's really funny. It's really great. I think I'm probably about a fifth or something like that of the way through it. Super readable and great. The Revisionaries by A.R. Moxon. Check it out. Leighton, what's poppin' with you?
Ooh, I'm gonna say somebody tipped me off about this band a while ago, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I didn't give it like a deep listen. Are y'all familiar with Twin Temple?
No.
It is 50s like throwback sort of Amy Winehousey doo-wop, but they're all the songs are about fucking Satan. It's
Wait. Sorry.
good.
As in, they're about Satan, or they're about
They're
having
like
sex with Satan?
Yeah, they're like 50s doo-wop, but love songs, but they're all about like Lucifer. There's a song called Satan is a Woman. There's Lucifer, My Love, and they're all just like so really, really good. And if you look up pictures of them, it's just like the most goth Tinder looking for a third couple. It's like
Sweet Jesus. What are they
it's like-
called again?
Twin Temple.
Twin
Yeah, look them up because it's
Temple.
So when you first started saying that, you said they're about fucking Satan.
Yeah.
And I thought they were literally about having sex with the devil, all of them.
I mean, most of them are.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't know if either of you are looking at these pictures of them, but it's just such a fucking vibe.
Holy fuck. Yep, sure is.
Where's the one where they're like open mouth making out while they're playing guitar? It's really good.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I
This is
highly,
great.
highly recommend them. They're fabulous, and I think they only have the one album out, so it's a pretty quick listen. Commander Meouch, what's poppin'?
What's poppin'? Oh, what have I been doing? I've been playing. What's poppin' is this video game that I found. I'm loving the fuck out of it. I'm playing it on my stream. It's Jurassic Park. It's a Jurassic Park game. It's called Jurassic World Evolution. It was like a roller coaster tycoon kind of game, but it's Jurassic Park, and there's dinos, and they're wonderful, and sometimes they break out and eat the guests. And
Yeah, there was a really delightful moment the other night while we were on a Discord call where most of us were playing Animal Crossing and Meouch was playing the Jurassic Park game, and we're all like, oh, look, we're in the museum, there's butterflies. And then Meouch is like, oh no, the T-Rex is out. Oh no. Oh no.
he ate like
Yeah.
50 people, man. It's not good for the park rating.
That Yelp rating is going down real quick.
Fucking yeah, it sucked. Yeah, no, I love it. It's very relaxing, and it's a nice kind of game to have discovered during this nice quarantine lockdown kind of thing.
The T-Rex ate 50 people. Very relaxing.
Not for those people, but for me, more relaxing for me. Yeah, they were
Wonderful.
mostly screaming and running. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah. Deeply about it.
Shall we move on to our final segment?
Yes, we shall. Do you want to explain what this segment is?
Yeah, so Meouch, there's a thing that my aunt and uncle do with my nieces every night at dinner where they go around the table and they share peaches and lemons, which is sort of like an exercise in gratitude. So they share one lemon, something that was like a bummer or disappointing or whatever, and then 3 peaches, each of which is like a thing they're excited about or grateful for or, you know, looking forward to. And I'm going to say last week we did not do any lemons. I'm going to say also this week only peaches.
Great.
Brian, would you like to start? So to give
Sure.
Meouch a moment to think about it, I keep remembering like, oh yeah, we sort of need to warn the guests of like, sort of think about this a little bit.
Oh
and then we
yeah,
never do.
I'd
Yeah.
go do me last. I need an example for sure.
Cool. All right, I'll go first. First peach, we took the training wheels off Audrey's bike.
Oh,
And I'm
yay.
teaching her to ride a
Wow.
bike, and it's really cute, and she's having a great time. She did plow into a parked car yesterday. She's totally
That's a big
fine.
moment.
Classic bike riding experience.
Yep, did a tiny bit of damage to the side, so we left a note, and hopefully it won't be that expensive. But I was like, I will be fully honest. I was a little upset at the situation, not at her, of course. She, is learning to ride a bike, and mistakes happen. But I was like, oh god,
Just take it out of her allowance, dude.
yeah. her allowance of $0.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well,
a
sorry,
week.
kid, you're going to be in debt for a while.
yeah, exactly. Well, when,
Yeah, but she's just like,
Oh, it's
Sorry,
like when
go
she
ahead.
starts getting allowance, and you start taking it off the top there. Like students, like a student. She treat it like a student loan. You know what I mean? Like she could defer payments for
Yeah.
the time being, but
That's
interest.
right.
Interest.
yeah, lots of it. It's 100%.
It's not a good loan, man.
It's really cute because she spends the whole time. She's a very talkative person, and she spends the whole time theorizing about like why she is biking the way she is. I think that I put my foot down because I was looking at the car, and the car was parked over there, and because it has a white front, I put my foot down on the pedal, and that's why it's just this running stream of consciousness commentary on living in a 5-year-old's body on a bike. It's really, really cute.
What's the what kind of bike does
yeah.
she have? Like, is it tricked out?
Oh, it's no big deal. It's just an Elsa and Anna bike,
Oh shit!
Damn, son.
which is a really fucking big deal.
Does it have streamers on the handles?
It does not.
Oh, what the fuck?
But we took it in. Last Friday. I was like, so we're of course taking the social distancing thing very seriously.
As
But I was like, I
everyone
gotta
should be.
as everyone should be. But I was like, you know what? Before this really gets insane, I'm just going to take this bike in to get fixed because it had like the tubes and the tires were all fucked up. And so while being very careful about everything, 6 feet, blah, 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 I took the bike into the local bike store, essential business still open, to get fixed.
And now she's got sick rims on it. Crazy.
Yeah, and now, well, it used to have, bright white tires because it's like a pink and baby blue bike. But now it has black tires, and I thought she was going to be upset, but she was thrilled because that's like a big person tire color. It's like an adult tire color.
Yeah, word.
So she saw it and she went, "Black tires!" It was really, really cute.
Well, please congratulate her for me on successfully riding a bike without training wheels.
I will. She's doing really well too. She's like, she can get down the street and turn and stuff like that. Only 2 days in.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Other peaches, I signed up for a little CSA farm box that gets us fresh vegetables every week because it's, let's support some local farmers. I have this beautiful, because I'm terrified to go to the market. I get this beautiful, like, curbside pickup box of greenery, and it's the best. Yesterday, I pickled beets and made turnip chips.
Ooh, turnip chips sounds so good.
They're great. They're easy to make. You just slice them with a mandolin and then, put some olive oil, salt, and pepper on them, and then stick them in the oven. Super easy. So we have some awesome fresh vegetables, which, hopefully we'll keep getting for the foreseeable future. And let's see, what's my final peach? I guess I'll talk. I'm writing some new music. Leighton, this is the thing I sent you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a stacked loops is really what it is. It's not the kind of thing I've ever really. I've written this kind of thing occasionally, but I've never really put anything else out there. So I'm trying to write an album of this weird, kind of new compositional technique. It's nothing that like intellectual or anything. It's just something the way I don't typically write, and it's very like synthy and a little bit of Steve Reishi.
It's really good.
And like, thank you. So I'm about 3 songs deep, and hopefully I'm gonna have like a full album out. I don't know, next few weeks.
Oh hell yeah!
Because my goal is to do several of these a week, and once I get 12 or 15 tracks, they're all 5 or 6 minutes long. That's put it the fuck out.
Fabulous. If you need some cover art for that shit, hit me up.
I do.
Ooh. All right. Let's chat about that later.
Let's talk. Yeah. All right, Leighton. Go for it.
It's funny because I was thinking about this, and you actually said a very adjacent thing to one of my peaches. So my first peach is that I made pickles, just regular cucumber pickles.
Oh, I saw your picture.
Oh my god, it's like a Martha Stewart like Asian pickle kind of deal. So I did some sliced up ginger, got some red pepper flakes in there, sesame oil, rice vinegar. I toasted some sesame seeds to put in, and just like I'm maybe like 2 days into them sitting in the brine, and they're just like bomb.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fuck, they're so good. And I only bought 1 cucumber, and I wish I had bought more cucumbers because they were one of the only vegetables left at the store.
See, I am very anti-vinegar with pickles.
Really?
Although that's more like dill pickles. Yeah.
Wait, so you
I
want
don't
like a
vinegar.
sweet pickle?
No, not sweet. No sugar. Like it's literally like brine, dill, maybe a few other spices, but no vinegar, no sugar. I want like kosher, half sour dills.
Interesting.
That's my pickle of choice.
Okay. But yeah, this is really
I'm
like...
not saying you did anything wrong. I'm not judging. I'm just
You're not
voicing a
allowed to
personal
have any.
preference.
It's
Good.
It's just like a beautiful jar, and now I feel like this is going to get me into making pickles a lot more because it's just so fucking easy.
Great.
It's like
It's
put shit
really
in a
easy.
jar, put the jar in the fridge, and then it's delicious.
Yep.
And then my second peach is Millie Shapiro, who plays the little girl in Hereditary. She has a TikTok and an Instagram, and she's like full on like Lolita fashion, like cool makeup e-girl now, and she makes TikToks,
God.
and it is the cutest shit in the world.
So
I
how
love her
old is
so
she?
much.
She's like-
She's 17.
Oh, so she's not like a little kid. She's
No,
a teenager.
no,
Yeah.
but they totally kind of like age her down a little bit in that movie. But she is so precious, and she just posted a TikTok that's her doing the like, you know, people have memed the "I am your mother" speech, but like somebody put it to a song, and it's like her dancing to it, and it's just like I saw it and my brain just flooded with serotonin. So I highly recommend you follow her on TikTok.
Awesome.
And then my third one is that I need more podcasts, and I need some podcasting content for, you know, in the background while I'm playing Animal Crossing, which could have been in all three of my peaches, but if I start talking about it, I literally won't shut up about it. So I shall not. It's very good. But I've been I've been getting back into hardcore history because
Nice.
I didn't realize you can listen to stuff on like 2 times speed on Spotify, and that like completely changes the game, because that was the main reason I didn't listen to it for a long time, because I just cannot stand.
Did you get to that 4-hour one about the town in like Germany?
No, I haven't. So I've been listening to Blueprint for Armageddon, and I'm on like part 3 of that, which is great because like I'm not a big war content person, but this is like kind of getting me into it. And then I went on his website and I bought a bunch of like Blitz episodes. So I got the one about the bubonic plague. I got one about like the way children have been abused through history. They're just like absolutely fascinating, and they're so long, so it's just perfect like put in the background. And his, even listening to it on 2 times speed, he still talks so fucking slow. God bless Dan Carlin, but like I genuinely, everything he says is like a parody of himself, like being like, now if this had happened, it would have been very interesting, but that would be crying over historical spilt milk. Like,
He sounds like Shatner the way you're doing it.
shit. Vernon does a really, really good Dan Carlin. Like, he'll read shitty, mean comments from the internet in the Dan Carlin voice, and it just takes all the fire out of him. So yeah, those are my peaches.
All right, Meouch.
Peaches. Oh my goodness. What's some fun stuff? Before all the craziness happened, I had ordered a new compressor pedal, kind of a fancy compressor pedal for my bass guitar.
Nice.
It arrived at a beautiful time, and I'm digging it super hard. It's not a very exciting pedal for some people, but it's a big deal for me because I love my compression, baby.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I can't, I don't have any plants or pets, but I'm very proud of this compressor. It's my little darling. It is the Cali set.
Well, sorry. What about Thomas?
Oh,
Yeah, what about Thomas?
I mean, Thomas, he kind of does his own thing these days, man. I can't. He's grown up so fast.
For those of you who do not know, which is most people, Thomas is Commander Meouch's pet rock, who won Best Pet at the last Late Night Live show.
He's off doing his, the thing with the Amish people where they let the Amish kind of run away for a year and just fucking party.
Rumspringa.
Yeah, he might be drinking some of that too, I think, out there. But yeah, no, he's drinking Rumspringer, and he's just kind of out, exploring himself and his body and just, what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Kind of an awkward time to go out.
Did we award you a can of soup for that? I believe that was what the reward for winning that competition was.
It was
That
a
sounds
cheese
right.
soup.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget it because I've never seen something like that before. It was new to me.
Oh, it's great. Listen, if you want to have shitty fondue, you put that in a pot and you pour like some chicken broth and a little bit of beer in it. You're living. It's very good.
Very
that
gross.
sounds disgusting. We'll not be doing that.
No, come on, it's good. It's good. You put beer in it and it tastes normal.
Don't think so.
I'm going to pass on that.
I'll have you do that. Me and Brian will be having a Rumstringer or whatever, a glass of
Mayo.
that.
We'll have a mayo
know what, I'm
party.
gonna
I have so much mayo in my house
Turn
right
this
now.
shit off right now,
Like-
dude. I'm gonna fire it. Tear it off.
We were going to give them out. So I was going to throw out for the live show that was supposed to happen 2 days ago that we didn't do. I bought 800 individual mayo packets that I was going to throw out to the audience.
Like confetti.
And now I have that was actually Leighton's idea to do that. And now I have giant stack of boxes of individually packaged mayo in my front
You
hall
should
closet.
Listen.
you should donate it to the dump. Probably, I think they're looking for some. They're looking for some of that.
Yeah.
I spent like an inordinate amount of time doing research to see if creature stop. Inordinate amount of time doing research to see if you can get like custom printed mayo packets, and you cannot. Unfortunately,
Dream come true to me.
because I wanted it to be like special late night mayo packets. Rip.
Oh my
All right. Meouch, 2 more peaches, if you will.
peaches, yeah. What's another peach? Curb Your Enthusiasm is one more episode, and that show has brought me much joy. Many peaches. I've been loving the hell out of that. It is. I'm just glad that again there's fun, cool content that'll just make you forget temporarily about all the crazy shit going on. So that's a good peach, I guess. Does that count?
Cool.
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
This one's kind of a peachy thing, not for me directly, but for my folks who are way on the other side of the continent. Lobster season starts up real fucking soon, so hopefully they can get some
Oh, hell
fresh
yeah.
lobster, and then I can have FOMO about them having that and me not. But I'm excited for them for that reason.
Are you a lobster roll kind of boy?
No, get that roll out of my face. Just take the sea bug, cook it, boil it in its own water.
Really?
Oh yeah, crack it. If you can't be fucking cracking your own lobsters, like if you can't do that, you don't deserve it. You can't be.
I love a lobster roll, mayo-based, of
Now you're
course.
ruining-
Miss me with that butter
ruining
stuff.
it.
Not interested in a butter-based lobster roll. But a nice lobster, some mayo, like some Old Bay on a toasted bun. Yes, please.
That's
Oh, and you're like eating it outside. You get that salt air. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really hungry now.
a bit excessive.
But also straight up lobster. I mean, all sea bugs are a vehicle for butter.
No, you don't even need butter, really. If you want to be, if you're like, if you're kind of a fancy pants or whatever, you can
Fucking
do some butter.
heathen.
Oh, just straight up lobster pie.
But Meouch, thank you so much for being on the show. I've been really excited to have you on. Lots of people have requested, and we had so many more questions that, like, honestly, I could sit here and talk about this for 4 hours. So hope to have you back on someday. And where can we find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram. I've got that at Commander_Meouch, I believe. And I got the Twitter now. And that's just at Commander Meouch. And then, of course, follow all the twerp band stuff. TWRP Band.
And
Lots of
can you
music and
Sorry.
jokes. Huh?
I was going to say, can you tell the people about your fun streams that you do?
Oh yeah. Twitch. I'm doing Twitch streams as well. Twitch.tv/Commander Meouch. Every couple of days, kind of do it. And really, it was a thing to do, off tour. But now there's just no more tour for the foreseeable future. So there will be some level of regularity with it. But yeah, come check out some shit there, and yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
See you on the web.
To finish us out here, I'm going to loudly eat a pretzel into the microphone.
Oh, perfect.
Ready?
Real dry, please.
So it's got peanut butter in it. So,
Oh, these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Are they like the little
yeah.
nugs of pretzel peanut butter?
Oh,
those,
drink some.
those are the best.
I've never heard liquid sound so dry before. in my whole life.
I really had to suck it out of the cup there.
Oof.
Yikers. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Hope you're all staying safe out there. Enjoy my dog barking. Take care of yourselves. We love you.
Bye.
Bye. This is the end of the
Bye-bye.
podcast. Leighton Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. Please follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, and you can email us at leightonnight@gmail.com. Who's a little creature, short and stout? Here is her nose and here is her snout. And the baby wakes up. Want your toy? Go get it! Oh shit, we're still